Hello, my name is Andrew Weir and this is a screencast about atmosphere in games. The games I'd like to mention in this screencast are called Journey, The Legend of Zelda, and Mirror's Edge. All three of these games have strong ambience and keep you immersed in a world, and often stunned when they perfectly combine lighting, special effects, and audio to create atmosphere. The definition of atmosphere, by the Oxford English Dictionary, is the prevailing tone or mood of a place, situation, or creative work. This is important in every game, however it can be most noticeable in horror games or scary situations within games. Atmosphere is needed in the creation of games because establishing mood is an important part of immersing a player into a game. So with better research and examples from more recent popular games, where atmosphere can be seen as a main aspect of the game, this information can be transferred to future games, creating more meaningful and emotional experiences for the players. Throughout my research, atmosphere in games is usually related to the ambience and immersion of the game through post-processing, lighting, visual effects, and audio. For example, in Game Level Design by Mark Scattergood and John Feel, they describe that the world and its assets are only there to firmly establish the player's mind and where he is, and that the atmosphere will help the player better understand the emotional impact of the place by enhancing the ambience. I'm going to be first looking at lighting and visual effects in relation to atmosphere with Mirror's Edge as a representation. DICE is the company that developed Mirror's Edge. They also made a PowerPoint called The Unique Lighting of Mirror's Edge, where they show examples from the real game without important lighting features such as global illumination and colour bleeding. The examples shown have a physical scene without the effects. We can see how the scene is established, but the lighting effects make it a lot more visually pleasing once applied. This is the whole idea of atmosphere, and when done badly or completely ignored, the game can lack an emotion. Lighting isn't the only thing that makes Mirror's Edge so atmospheric. Visual effects such as the movement are very important to the game. In an article interviewing Owen O'Brien, he mentions that the movement is the core of the game, and because of this, we focused heavily on it until we got it right. And without a cutscene, dialogue box, instruction manual, character movement can communicate a lot of dramatic qualities. In Mirror's Edge, the emphasis on momentum and slight left to right movement of the camera with each step subconsciously draws the player towards the acrobatic gameplay. This quote is important because it mentions how a few effects of the camera and consistent player movement can keep the player immersed into the type of gameplay that the developers were trying to achieve. Saturation and contrast of light is very important to convey mood. This is shown in the post-processing of Mirror's Edge. Scenes like this are directly taken from the DICE PowerPoint that I used earlier, and they show the original scene with no editing of saturation or contrast to the edited scenes with curves that are much brighter and they give off a different appearance. We can see how the darker scenes give a different, less appealing view of the atmosphere in the game. Here I've made my own showing of both Journey and The Legend of Zelda and how they would look if the colour scheme was off. The scenes are instantly less visually appealing than the real scenes because the mood is meant to be happy and the darker scenes give more of a sinister effect to the game. Good fitting music is just as important to Mirror's Edge as any other game, but for my example of music I'm going to be using the game Journey by that game company. Journey is an incredibly emotional game and it doesn't contain any voice acting or even character development. The game is almost purely based on atmosphere, with amazing visuals and well-fitting soundtrack. The music is the main aspect, speeding up when it's fun and fast, or slowing down when it's more relaxed and sad. In this next scene of Journey, the music follows exactly what the player is doing on the scene. We go from fast-paced music while moving to a slow rest while we are standing still or admiring the view. Then we continue faster and faster as we slide down the slope, leading to a complete atmospheric change and a more ominous situation at the end. This effect is heavily made by the music, and without the music, or player's own music, the effect would be ruined, despite the visuals. Finally, when all the lighting, visual effects, and music is combined, we can see how games like The Legend of Zelda can vary between colour schemes and music to keep the player immersed into the game. The Legend of Zelda varies between happy visuals of Skyloft and tense boss battles. Noticeable changes in the ambience are the music and colour effects. We can notice techniques from the mentioned on Mirror's Edge and Journey are also used in Zelda when you play. Looking at all three happy atmospheric games, we can see the importance of colour, music, and visual effects. I have shown how these effects, if they were ignored, they could destroy the atmosphere and make it not as much of an emotional experience. If I were to continue looking at atmosphere in games, I could talk about other important features such as the tiny details that convince you of the world and add extra visual pleasure, as well as sounds other than music, and the importance of the user interface being less dominant of the screen.